He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up.
Y está tirando los misiles no por el narco, no por el terrorismo.
I'm Patrick Lancaster, and right now we are in Cúcuta, Colombia, a border city just across from Venezuela. We're making our way to Venezuela. There's a few issues with getting across the border, so we're here on the border town, reconfirming some things with the Venezuela authorities about getting in. I had everything organized beforehand, but there's some issues. They're on the brink of war, it seems, so some organizational issues are needing to be worked out. But I'm here in Colombia, so I'm going to be showing you what the situation is here, talking to the people on the ground about what's really happening. And there's many things happening here in Colombia. We're going to be doing a series here. First, we're going to be talking about how Trump has threatened Colombia as well. Well, the president of Colombia has threatened to remove him or make a regime change, saying he's next. And the president of Colombia has fired back and threatened him with removal. Well, you can see the interaction with Trump right here.
The president of Colombia in a recent interview said that if you won't change, he thinks that people should get rid of you.
We're talking about now Colombia, the country, not the university.
Yes.
Go ahead. He said what?
He said that if you won't change, then perhaps you need to be gotten rid of. Do you view that as a threat?
Well, he's a thug and bad guy. He's a guy that is making a lot of drugs. We've just, as of today, stopped all payments going to Colombia, the country Colombia. Also, the school Colombia. No, we settled. We made a settlement with him. But no, he's a thug, and he's a bad guy, and he's hurt his country very badly. They're doing very poorly, Colombia. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They grow all sorts of crap that's drugs, bad drugs coming into the United States, goes generally through Mexico. And he better watch it or we'll take very serious action against him and his country. His country is, what he has led his country into is a death trap.
Mr. President, we have three countries sending drugs to the U.S., Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And you talked to the president of Mexico, you already talked to Nicolas Maduro. Have you considered talking to the president of Colombia, who you called a drug dealer?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States, and I haven't given him a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
You talked about land strikes happening soon. Is there anything at this point that can prevent that? And is the objective, if you make that decision,
Well, I don't want to say that, but it's not only land
strikes.
strikes on Venezuela. It's land strikes on horrible people that are bringing in drugs and killing our people. You know, if we were in a war and we lost 300,000 people in a year, because that's what the real number is. It's not 100. You know, you keep hearing 100. And it's a lot worse than that because the families are devastated when they lose their child. If we were in a war and we lost 200,000 or 300,000, but I think it's more than 300,000. And that's a war that's like a war that would be unparalleled. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And that's what's happening. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in Venezuela. It's people that are bringing in drugs to our country are targets.
I'm Kenny Sanguino from Colombia. I'm a lawyer. I'm used to be professor here in Cúcuta, and I'm studying right now in the United States.
It seems that Trump is now starting to threaten regime change for Colombia when, quote unquote, he's finished with Venezuela. Considering the fact that Trump is threatening Colombia by saying President Gustavo Petro will be next. What are your thoughts on this and opinions of that situation? Do you think it might be a reality?
Okay. I think the deal with the President of the United States maybe need to be separated, because what he's doing and what the government is doing. I think maybe he likes to talk a lot, and he likes to threat the neighborhood. But at the same time, that kind of threats are taking place with the government's agents. I'm thinking about the Secretary of State, I don't remember, maybe Rubio. Maybe he's the head of this plan in the South America. Maybe the president plans is more related with how to move the business, the oil, the things to a macro level, and maybe the other things are related more with the political view. Maybe we can separate these two words. But in the case of the president of the Colombia, which is, I think it's if some country like United States told you that you are going to be the next, you need to take serious that kind of threat, because United States has a kind of history in Latin America, but in other countries related with the war, with how to the relations with the countries. I don't think that could be possible, because looking back to the history, Colombia has been the main ally with the United States in many things, not only commerce, not only with the business, with the banking, but mainly with the relations between armies. And there is a long cooperation about what's happening in South America, and maybe that could persist after this government in particular. This government only left 6 months. Maybe after that we will change into maybe a right-wing government, and that could change all these tensions between the two states, especially because this president, the president for Colombia, has a different way to see the international relations. He tries to make possible to he thinks that it's possible through the speech change the global order, and I think it's necessary to be a little bit moderate. All this to conclude that I don't think Gustavo Petro could be the next president or could be the next target in this.
For regime change, the next regime change.
I don't think that. But I think that the Colombia country as a whole could receive the impact of what's going to happen in Venezuela. And maybe separating that, we can understand what is the kind of threat we are facing right now. Because maybe there is a common agreement that in Venezuela the regime are going to change. The regime is about to change, maybe this month or the next year, but maybe there is a common agreement. But what's happening after that? Because we don't have only to see the president, the main heads. We need to see what's happening in the army, and especially in Venezuela, with something called the Colectivos. You know, there is a kind of population which the government gave arms just to defend the country against the empire or the international threat is against Venezuela. So I think that could be the real problem, and especially because in this moment there is a guerrilla from Colombia, which is right now, which initially was only just controlling Colombia territory, but right now they have a control in some parts of the border between Colombia and Venezuela, and everybody knows that. And that could be the problem, just in the case if the United States wants to go make an invasion, some kind of maybe tactic strategy against the Venezuela government. But just to summarize, I don't think the president could be neither Colombia could be the next target, but we could receive, maybe we are going to receive the impact of what they are going to do in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In a negative way.
Yeah, yeah, because we have seen just in the last 10 years, we receive right now, in this place, in this border, in this city, we receive 10 million of migrants. And that's a lot of population just looking for survival. And this is the place where the roads cross and they just go through the border and they need to find something for survival. And I think that could be our main concern in this moment, how we are going to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. And also, Petro fired back at Trump, saying if Trump doesn't change, maybe he should be removed or will be removed. What do you think about that kind of underlying
Trump will
threat?
be removed?
Yeah. Petro kind of fired back at Trump, saying he needs to change his ideology about Colombia and about him, or he could be removed.
I don't know. Maybe that's part of the. Yeah, you mentioned quite clear because there is like a fire speech. They are in, how to say, they are set on fire since maybe 1 year because Trump is from he starts his second government since January, but they are just trying to hit another one because they know that in the international tables, that's the way to call attention, to receive the international attention. And maybe the winner of this going and back could be Petro, because the scope, the focus is always on Trump, over Trump. All the cameras are looking at him. But I think Petro tries to steal the focus just for 1 second or minutes to say, hey, we are not in total agreement with what he's doing there. We are not the same country like the 70s that you invade in Chile. And, he used this kind of rhetoric saying that we have a voice and we are going to make our voice here in the United States. But I don't think that this is going to pass over this. This is maybe part of the international orchestra. We are seeing like a opera, like a theater.
It's just a lot of talk.
Yeah. But not only from this president. It's a matter of two. That's part of the. I don't know. You need to give food and how to give to the press, how to what are they going to present in the news, and that's maybe part of the show.
It's like playing a game.
I see that way, yeah.
Sí, estamos haciendo una entrevista. ¿Sí?
Esta abuelita es emprendedora.
Bueno.
Tiene el municipio de Los Patios, el mejor municipio del norte de Santander.
Listo. Pero te vamos a hacer unas preguntas, ¿sí? Entonces, la primera, ¿qué opina sobre lo que ha dicho el presidente de Estados Unidos sobre intervenir Venezuela? ¿Qué opina?
Sí, estoy de acuerdo, porque esta señora de 78 años tiene familia en Venezuela, que ya están fuera de Venezuela por el problema que hubo. Y soy colombiana y amo a mi Colombia, pero también amo a Venezuela. Amo a las dos naciones. Quiero lo mejor para ellas.
Ok. ¿Y cómo cree que afectaría acá la Cúcuta y la frontera si interviene el ejército estadounidense a Venezuela?
No, es que no va a pasar nada porque ellos no quieren derramamiento de sangre. Quieren que todo sea con paz, que haya paz, que se vayan los que tengan que ir.
El presidente de Estados Unidos también ha dicho que después de Venezuela vendría la intervención a Colombia. ¿Qué opina si interviene el gobierno de Estados Unidos a Colombia?
Que Dios lo decida, pero yo sé que estamos limpios, que Dios nos ayude.
Y si eso afecta, si una intervención a Colombia afectaría los derechos humanos, habría más violencia, ¿qué opina sobre eso?
No, yo quiero paz, que haya paz. Quiero lo mejor para Colombia, que lo hagan por los niños, por los ancianos. Ayúdenos, ayúdenos. Usted nos puede ayudar. Usted viene como embajador de los Estados Unidos y habla esta señora de 78 años que quiere la paz del mundo.
Y frente a la segunda pregunta de también las alocuciones del presidente Trump frente a que después de Venezuela iría la intervención contra Colombia en el marco de que estamos actualmente en un gobierno progresista, el primer gobierno progresista en Colombia, pues también hay un total rechazo, ¿no? Porque nuevamente pues es incidir desde esta lógica imperialista, violenta, con un ejercicio, una relación de poder bastante desequilibrada y no permitir que la soberanía del pueblo colombiano pues se desarrolle en su plena libertad, ¿no? Colombia, con más de 200 años de independencia como república, es la primera vez en toda su historia republicana que tiene un gobierno progresista de izquierda, pues liderado por el presidente Petro, y las amenazas del presidente Trump en este contexto, con toda la incidencia que ha hecho el presidente Petro, por ejemplo, a nivel internacional, de repudiar la intervención y la guerra en Palestina y pues otros fenómenos a nivel mundial, pues en últimas repercute en este intervencionismo discursivo que hace el presidente Trump, atacando a nuestro presidente, atacando al pueblo colombiano en su ejercicio de soberanía, en que fue un presidente que fue electo democráticamente. Entonces es muy preocupante, pues más acá estando nosotros en la frontera colombo-venezolana, en la ciudad de Cúcuta, que tenemos como esa dicotomía o esa situación en que están habiendo amenazas para el gobierno de Venezuela y también amenazas para el gobierno colombiano. Entonces, total rechazo. Colombia tiene unos procesos sociales, comunitarios amplios de base, en que pues nos hemos esforzado por llevar ejercicios democráticos, participativos, para lo que estamos viviendo actualmente políticamente. Seguramente faltan muchas cosas que resolver por mejorar en el ejercicio del poder, con esta nueva experiencia del presidente Petro acá en Colombia, pero pues somos nosotros los colombianos y colombianas las que debemos decidir sobre el futuro del país, ¿no? Entonces, le hacemos un llamado también a la comunidad internacional que pues esté muy atenta de la situación que se está presentando acá en Sudamérica, específicamente con Colombia y con Venezuela, porque no podemos permitir que el imperialismo estadounidense pues siga haciendo de las suyas en nuestro territorio.
También el presidente Trump ha dicho recientemente que después de Venezuela vendría Colombia, pues porque no simpatiza
con el presidente Petro, actual presidente de Colombia. También, ¿qué opinas sobre una eminente amenaza, intervención?
Pues ahorita en esta situación que estamos viviendo, que el presidente nuevo, Petro, presidente nuevo, ese presidente no lo había, porque este presidente va con un régimen de pacto histórico, no había eso aquí en Colombia. Ahora está este señor mandando, ya todo cambió en Estados Unidos, ya cambió todo lo que es el gobierno de Estados Unidos, lo que es la mano poderosa de Estados Unidos, este gobierno colombiano ha cambiado eso allá. Entonces, cuando Colombia estaba en otro momento, otro presidente, la mano con Estados Unidos. Pero ahorita no, ahorita estamos viviendo otra situación en el nivel nacional, a nivel mundial, estamos viviendo otra situación.
Ahora,
So you tell me, what do you think about Trump threatening Colombia and the president for being next? What's after? Who's next after Colombia? If it goes that far, is this something that should be done? Threatening the sovereignty of several countries? You tell me.